Welcome and thank you for joining this presentation on brand new homes deficiencies, things that we find while doing home inspections on brand new homes. But first, let's start to learn a little bit about me. My name is David Aslant. I'm French-Canadian from Quebec. I've been in British Columbia since 1995. I went to school for 3, 4, 5 years. I did my ESL, English as a Second Language, at Malaspina University College on the island, where I also started computer science there. And then eventually I moved to Vancouver and I ended up on construction for about 20 years. Out of those 20 years, the last 12 years, I was specializing in walls and ceilings. It's a trade that deals with framing, drywall, insulation, boarding, taping, and all kinds of ceilings. And approximately 8 years prior to that, I was also working in construction, couple years as concrete forming, couple years in doing stucco application on houses, couple years as a glazer, doing shower enclosures with glass or big commercial windows on buildings, and then cabinet installations, flooring, a little bit of electricals. So overall, about 20 years experience until I finally made it into the home inspection industry. So this new home deficiency presentation, I tried to keep my presentation positive, fun, and entertaining, but this one really, it's very difficult. Because it's only really when you go in a brand new home that you can see that within one generation, workers went from having pride in their work to completely not, and having loyalty into their employers until not. This presentation is not designed to bash on the city inspectors, but definitely don't rely on them for any kind of peace of mind. Many houses don't even get inspected. Once a relationship is built with the builders, often they just rely on their own words to pass the inspection without even going there. The way it works is that if the inspectors don't show up, you pass. And from what I'm told, it's more often than not. They're also not liable. So if they miss something, they're not liable for it. We are. We have $2 million in insurance. You can imagine that in this case, we want to make sure that we don't miss anything. For us, it's a business. The better we do, the better we inspect. That's how we grow. For them, no matter how poorly they do their job, their service is mandatory, so they get called anyways and they always stay busy. Like in every industry, there's some good ones and some bad ones. Which one are you going to get? Or are you going to get one at all? Are you going to take a chance? Each city inspector specializes in one area. There'll be one for electrical, one for plumbing, one for framing, insulation, foundation. But for us, we look at all the systems together and the relationship that these different systems have and perform together. There are only two persons really that will attempt to tell you that you shouldn't get a home inspection on a brand new home. There'll be the builder, and often the listing agent might mention that. And we all know the reason why. We're a professional at what we do, and we know what to look for and where to cut corners. They're going to tell you about, oh, there's a deficiency walkthrough, but that's pure garbage designed to give you a false sense of comfort and control. Get us in there, we'll inspect it for you. In this presentation, I would like to invite you to join me on home inspections with me in the comfort and safety of your own home. So let me show you. You see this house there. Let's start the first deficiency on the window right beside the van. So let's start the first video. I'm here again on this brand new home, and here's a window, here's some flashing. William, try to open that window. So basically, the flashing is too low on it. Now you can't even close it back. I have to bend that flashing up to try to close that window again. So here's a perfect example of extreme poor craftsmanship. And also the fact that nobody ever tested this, or they tested it and they didn't give a damn about it. So should you get your brand new home inspected? Of course you should. Look at what you're gonna be, getting if you don't get it inspected. I mean, it's ridiculous. It totally is ridiculous. What makes me crazy is that there's no way that no one noticed it before us. Absolutely no way. But what doesn't surprise me is how little they give a damn about it. And that is reason number 2 why I got out of construction, because it's hard to work with people who really don't give a damn about what they're doing. Let's look at this next video. And just before I go on, you'll realize that on brand new homes, it's a different style, different type of inspection. There is no wear and tear. The roof is brand new. All the utilities are brand new. So we're mostly looking for poor craftsmanship, things that are not completely finished, cosmetic damage. We test this everything for the proper functions. We'll test the water, all the electricals and everything else. Now let's look at this quick video here. From this brand new home, nobody's ever lived in here, and I wanted to talk to you about these downspouts. 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago, I do understand that maybe they didn't set up things so you would discharge this water inside of the drain tile so you could manage this rainwater properly. But today on brand new house, this shouldn't be happening. This water should be going down the drain tile so you can manage it. Now you have a window well right there, another one right here. The whole enclosure of these are made of wood. This is gonna rot right away. You're getting all this water against your foundation. It's all icy over here too. It's all dangerous. So should brand new home be inspected? Probably the only guy that would say no to that is the guy who built that house. By now, it should be common knowledge. It should actually be part of the code not to discharge water right against the foundation or on the sidewalks. I mean, we see it every day. It creates so many problems. The only place it should be discharging is inside the drain tile that's all around the house. There's nothing good about it. It also suggests that the site supervisor wasn't really paying attention to everything. They have to coordinate the trades, having the drain tile guy coordinate with the gutter guy so that his extension and his downspouts are matching. Otherwise, if they're like this, it doesn't work. Let's look at this next video. Oh, this is what can happen. So when you're discharging water right by the foundation, this picture here does not show a sidewalk, but the sidewalk would start going like this and cracking and creating all kinds of issues. But then the water can also get back inside the house if there's a crack in the foundation or coming from the footing. There's absolutely nothing good about it. Now, let's look at this video. We're doing this brand new home here, and I wanted to talk about these window wells. Basically, these window wells are designed so that if there's a fire inside and you can't escape through the hallway, you climb up your window, you come on this side, you lift that grill right out there, and you escape. The problem I have with this one is, it might be hard for you to see, but it's almost 10 feet down over there. So let's say your 7-year-old managed to get up this window, he's never gonna get out of there. So do some thinking out here. There should be a ladder there so that someone can climb out of there and escape. Even an adult would get stuck in there. So a home inspection is not only about deficiencies, it's also about safety, and this will have to go in the report. It's also about common sense. I mean, why would you have a hole there for escape and no ladder to come out? This is another example of really poor thinking and really don't give a damn kind of attitude. So there are a few different ladders that you can have set up in there. I mean, it's being done. They sell them all over the place. And worst case, just look at the top pictures there. You just get a 10-foot ladder, throw that in there, use an aluminum one so it won't rot and it'll be there for years. If you don't use it, fine. And if you ever need to use it, then something is there. And the survivors will thank you for it. Now let's take a look at this one. And while we're talking about window wells. I'm here doing this home inspection. I'm walking around the house and I see these window wells that has no cover. So window wells should have a cover in case little kids or anybody walking by falls down there. It could be pretty dangerous. You know, look how deep that is. Oh my God, there's already somebody in there. Will, what you doing? You okay? Well, you have it, folks. We have window wells. You gotta have a cover on it, otherwise you might find somebody in there all beat up. All right? These window wells, they don't all need ladders. Sometimes they're not very deep. but they all need a cover. Most homes nowadays are sold with a suite for rentals, a mortgage helper. And you would have something like this, one of their kids or one of the adults falls in there and hurt themselves. That's a lawsuit. I mean, we gotta start doing some thinking here. On to the next one. We're doing this brand new home here. It's a beautiful home. It's a hardy board. It's a super nice looking home. Our client was wondering, should we get this place inspected? The builder said that, you know, they'll do a deficiency list and all of that, yada, yada. We're like, yeah, you definitely want to get this inspected because, you know what, like, it's just a matter of going around and it's like, holy crap, look at this. Should a brand new home get inspected? Well, you be the judge of that. Like I mentioned earlier, on brand new homes, there is no wear and tear, but there's plenty of unfinished items. For example, this railing. I don't know, maybe they ran out of screws. They said, we'll come back tomorrow. Tomorrow they got busy. Nobody called them back. And now they're like, hey, you know, here's a little bonus for us. We didn't have to go back. Well, now with that report, that's gonna be part of the list. They will get a phone call. They'll be, hey, brother, you forgot to anchor that railing properly. And they're gonna have to go back. Now let's look at this next one. I'm doing this home inspection here on a brand new home, and I'm going around the sidewalk, and I can see that the soil hasn't been compacted properly on this sidewalk. And here's what's happening. It's basically disconnecting straight from the house. You can see here that they tried to do some kind of patching work, but it's also disconnecting right here. So this side is going like this. And so now this needs to be looked at. Otherwise, it's just gonna keep going like this. It creates a massive separation in between these steps and the sidewalk. And look, it's cracking all over the place. So this is gonna have to go in the report. Someone will have to somehow jack this corner up or do whatever needs to get done so it stops going down. When you get the job, not because you're the best, but because you had the cheapest bid, you don't have the budget and often the professionals in your team to get things done like professionals would. So they do their best hoping that there'll be no issues for at least 1 year. Everyone on construction gets the job because they had the cheapest bid, because they do not because they do quality work or they're the most reliable. It's a failing formula. Cheap means that they have to go fast using the cheapest material and the cheapest guy. Cheap guys don't give a damn. They have zero pride in their work. And since construction is so busy and they're always looking for guys, they don't care to burn a bridge. There's work everywhere. And that is the #1 reason why I got out of construction. I didn't want to have to be hired on price. I wanted to be hired on value. What do I offer? So on to the next video. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about these retaining walls here. Whoa, you know, like we always recommend putting a railing on that wall. Because you know what? Young kids could fall over there and really hurt themselves. So, you know, a home inspection, it's also a safety inspection. We look for all these items. When I see this, the first thing I see, because this is right by the street, there's a sidewalk right there. The first thing I picture is a toddler coming on a tricycle and goes sideways and then bam, 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 and fall through this retaining wall. And really, they could kill themselves. How about if some teenager on a bicycle, his friend pushed him, he goes sideways and he falls in there? How about if some drunk person in the streets going, and then fall down there, smash their head, bleeds to death? It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Do you think I'm the only one that looked at this and be like, yeah, this is unsafe? Everybody looked at it and they're like, oh my God, I hope nobody falls down there. But nobody's gonna say anything about it because adding a railing there is extra money. And extra money means less profit, right? Let's look at these pictures here. There's plenty of railing styles that they could install. You don't have to install it maybe at the lower part of it, but at least the upper part where people from the sidewalk will not fall in there. And it's a concrete retaining wall. It would have been easy to set a railing there in the concrete at the time of the pour and get this done right at the same time. Maybe some people might say, you know what, it doesn't look so pretty. It's true, it doesn't look so pretty. But when a 4-year-old falls down there in their tricycle and smash their head open, it won't be any prettier, believe me. Now on to the next one. See, once in a while, Once in a while. That does not happen very often. I was very surprised to find this. Once in a while, we see an example of extreme poor craftsmanship. And here's one of them. I'm here doing this condo inspection in Vancouver, and once in a while we find something that we consider extremely poor design. And I have one here and I like to show it to you. So here's this beautiful tap. When you look below, it's an outlet. This tap is discharging right on the outlet. I mean, how ridiculous is this? I mean, it does have a weatherproof cover, but if you open it up, it's filled with water. So here's a great example. See, like I'm thinking it probably took about, this is a townhouse complex. Yeah, it probably took them at least 10 months to build this place. There's no way the electrician did not notice that. There's no way the plumber did not notice that. There's no way the site supervisor did not notice it. There's no way the higher ups that walks the site all the time trying to find something to pick on did not see it. But they all went, well, it's got a weatherproof box on it, right? But as you can see, I open this up, water comes right out. I mean, it's just, you know, that's what makes it frustrating to often do inspections on brand new place, because you can see that nobody gives a damn about it. On to the next video. I'm here on not quite the roof. I'm just on the lower roofs. They're just little flat roofs. They do have a nice drain that, you know, gets rid of the water when it falls on here. Not super, you know, sloped well, but it really never is. And then one of the features of these little flat roof is what you need is what's called a scupper. A scupper is in case that drain gets all clogged up and water starts going up. You don't want to create problems here, really, you know, for the water to start entering the structure. So they have what is called a scupper. So this is the scupper. If water goes up about 3 inches, it's going to start shooting from there. It's basically a backup. But you know, in order for it to work properly, a scupper, it needs to be poked through that flat roof here. There's absolutely nothing. Guy came, put his membrane there and called it a day. So this is one more quick video about how important is it to get a brand new home inspected. Well, the quick answer is it's very important. This is a super quick job. Just go find the soft spots, cut it off, put some sealant around it, and call it a day. It's not even a 10-minute job. But why wasn't this cut? Where was the site supervisor? On every job site, there's basically a general contractor gets that job, and on that job, they put a site supervisor there that is in charge of making sure that this job gets done on time, that the trades you know, don't work on top of each other, that there's a proper flow. And also part of their job is to make sure that the job is done properly. So obviously, site super did not go on the roof. They never do really. And this got, it got messed. This could have cost thousands of dollars in water damage if the water started getting inside. The one that would be, oh, this copper never got cut open. Interesting. Wow. And that's why we inspect those houses. Now let's get on the roof. Doing a home inspection here on a brand new home, brand new roof. You would think this would be in really good shape, but you know what happened? Once in a while, some of the sub-trade will make a mistake and they don't want to get in trouble, so they might not mention anything. So here's an example. Brand new roof, and look at the hole that we have right here in this roof. It's about 5/8 of an inch. Water's gonna get in there. So should you get your brand new home pre-inspected or inspected? 100%. It's a fact. Site supervisors, I've worked on a lot of construction site and I've never seen one going on the roof. You know, and when I talk about these people, trade, site supervisors, general contractors, builders, look, there's some really good ones out there. Tons of really good ones, but it's the bad ones that makes everybody else look bad. And so in this case here, someone made a mistake. An electrician possibly poked a hole, wanted to run a wire, and then realized, oh my God, I poked it right on the flashing. Now they're gonna need to replace this flashing because you don't want to plug it up. You're gonna have to peel the shingles to get rid of this flashing. It's gonna cost thousands of dollars. I don't want to pay for this. Shh, let's just keep it quiet. Hopefully nobody noticed. Hopefully Inspect Canada doesn't get on the roof and notice my poor quality work. So this is kind of what happened there. Another one on the roof, same roof.
Here on a brand new home, brand new roof, you would think this would be in really good shape.
Oh, there's the same video.
Happen once in a. I'm here on this follow-up inspection. I've already inspected this place. This is a brand new home. There were all kinds of unfinished items. So the buyer gave the deficiency list to the builder. Builder apparently fixed everything, and now he's asking me back on site to take a look at everything. One of these things on this roof, there was actually a hole straight through the flashing. So I'm here to check if this has been done. Well, let's take a look. It's still right there. Nobody's even touched it. So if you get a home inspection, there's a deficiency list and the builder will fix them. Get everything re-inspected because you never know. Here's another quick example. The flashing around here wasn't done. Well, they did do it, but they never caulked the nails. So it's all 100 miles an hour. The faster you go, the more money you make. And this is what you get stuck with.
Most of the time when we inspect a new home, the builder is present during the presentation. The only thing they say during this whole time is, yes, no problem, we'll get this done. No problem, I'll call this trade back, I'll come and fix this up. So then we're like, okay, so once you have that fixed, we'll go back on site and we'll verify repairs. And to tell you the truth, half the time the stuff is not done. So if you get your home inspected and the builder's all about, yes, no problem, we'll get this done, make sure to get it re-inspected, especially if there are items on the roofs or in the attic. They know nobody goes in there. Now, about this one here.
I'm here inspecting this house. It's not even 6 months old. It's super new. The roof is beautiful. It's nice and clean. And then, you know, it almost seems sometimes like you might not even need to inspect it. Well, that's what the seller said. She said, well, it's brand new. What are you going to do up there? But in reality, then I come to it and I see that right here, one whole strip of shingle flew right off. It's gone. It's basically right on the black paper right here, on the tar paper, nails, everything. So even when a home is brand new, it's very important to get it inspected. Here's another one example of that. And I'm sure I'll find plenty of other examples on this house.
So whenever you install shingles, asphalt shingles on the roof, it comes in strips about this wide. And there's a bit of a glue under it. So when it gets really sunny in the summer, it melts that glue a little bit and then that shingle bonds to the roof properly. So you shouldn't be able to lift up those shingles. But when they're installed in cold weather or, you know, like in December, then it takes a while before it bonds. So sometimes, since they're not bonding, if there's heavy wind, it could lift it up. And if there's already a little tear in it, it could fly right off. And that's kind of what I think happened there. Even though it is a brand new roof, and even though it has been installed fairly properly, there's still a chance that shingles could fly right off depending on the weather and depending when the roof was installed. Now to this one last roof video.
We're here on this brand new construction again on a little bit of an unusual roof, a metal roof here. I love it. I think this is gonna last a very long time, very low maintenance. But what I wanted to talk to you about here today is all this debris that is still here on that roof. This place is being done, it's being sold, and there's all this kind of crap here on the roof that could easily fly out. And look how high we are. We're super high. This could easily kill someone down there, a kid, or anybody, really. Look, it's a metal angle. This thing's gonna slice someone's head in no time. So, if you're a builder, keep an eye on your trade. Make sure that the roof is clean right up of all debris. Otherwise, it's going to be a liability. It could hurt somebody. There's nothing good about it. So if you like us, take a look at your roof. Get a full home inspection.
Hey, I'm not making this up. Let's look here. that little girl on the left was killed by falling debris. And if you do like a quick Google search and you go, falling debris, death or injuries, you'll find pages and pages of results. Falling debris kills or injured many people every year. Would you want your little 3-year-old or 4-year-old daughter to get hit by some debris on the roof because of a guy that doesn't give a damn, who can't wait to get home to get drunk, basically left all the debris there and then the wind picks it up and killed one of your kid? It's pretty sad, to tell you the truth. So why was this place on the market being sold, people moving in there? Where was the site supervisors whenever that metal roof guy went up there and did his work? Did he go and check? Obviously, now we know that the site supervisors never looked at the work that this roofer did, because he left all the material there. Otherwise, he would have told him to clean this up. It just makes sense. Now let's get inside the home. I'm here in this brand new home, nicely staged. Over here we have this beautiful office. Right there we have this bathroom. And up there, it's basically an attic space. But let me show you this attic. So we have a hatch right here. And what do we find in here? Absolutely no insulation anywhere. You're probably wondering, should brand new home get inspected? Well, you be the judge of that. Otherwise, you could be moving in these mansions that cost you millions of dollars and have some pretty high heating bills. So, things like this should not happen, but it does. And that is why you get a home inspection. You're probably thinking, how did that happen, right? How come this passed the insulation inspection? How come the site supervisor passed it? And how come nobody noticed until us, magical people, walking in there, finding all these items? How come it got occupancy? Don't they look anywhere? It's just absolutely brutal. Running the infrared camera throughout this whole house right now. And when I look at the ceiling, this is what I see, these super cold spots everywhere. Let me show you another spot here, right at the end there, how cold that is. See, it's super blue everywhere. I've already been in the attic. There were really two possibilities here, that it's either some water leak or lack of insulation. And I can say for sure now it is a lack of insulation. There's all kinds of areas out there that has no insulation, where it's super flat, super high, it's all moved. People's been working up there, moving all the insulation. And right now, so this is not great for energy efficiency, but also when the warm moist air goes up there, it's gonna condensate when it touches these areas and it's gonna look all dirty. Should you get a brand new home inspected? Of course you should, otherwise you're gonna get stuck with stuff like that. Nowadays, with the heat recovery ventilator and other equipments they have in the house, they often have big ducts in the attic. In the past, the guy that blows in the insulation would poke his head in the access hatch and just blow his crap all over the place. But now there's all these ducts everywhere. So you gotta do a little bit of walking in the attic, and you have to fill under the duct too. And on the other side of them as well. Because if you're just blowing like this is not getting anywhere, and then you're getting all kinds of cold spots everywhere. And basically when you get the job, because you were the cheapest guy, this is often what you get, unless the site supervisors would do their job properly. If they went up there, they would have noticed that there's all kinds of areas that has absolutely no insulation. On to the next one. I'm doing this home inspection here, brand new home, still loaded with garbage in the garage. It's actually not fully finished. But I wanted to talk to you about the door that is separating the garage and the living space. It should have 3 safety features. One, it should be self-closing. This one obviously not. This can be done at the hinges. Second thing is that should be a fire-rated door. This one is an empty, hollow core door, definitely not fire rated. It has no sticker that says that this door is fire rated. And the third feature is that it should be weather stripped all the way around the frame, so that if there's a car here with the fume doesn't get in. If there's a fire, the fire doesn't make it inside. If there's smoke, it's all sealed. And so really, we have this door here, 3 deficiencies on one door, and this is a brand new construction. Should you get brand new home inspected? 100%. The builder was there and he's like, I passed the occupancy, so what's your problem, right? So he was not happy about that. So he called up the city inspector. I did learn a little something on this one. I don't exactly remember the city. I think it's in Langley. The city inspectors are saying that if the house has sprinklers, which it did, then the garage door does not need to be a fire rated door, which, okay, I'm okay with that. But it still needs to be self-closing to prevent the fumes from going in there. And it still needs to have a weather strip so that the smoke or the fumes from the car doesn't get inside the house. So, okay, you passed it based on one item. There's still 2 deficiencies with that door. So anyway, it is what it is. Not a brand new construction.
Here on this brand new development, nobody's living here. There's actually not quite finished everywhere. I just wanted to show you something real quick here. Should you get brand new homes inspected? Look, here's the utility room, and it's dripping like crazy up there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's all wet now. It's running on this wall. So basically, something's not quite connected up there. And that is why we inspect brand new place. So if you're planning on buying brand new, make sure you get it inspected. Look, everything's under guarantee. All we need to do here is a list of deficiencies, and the builder's gonna fix it all.
On this particular project, the site supervisors was so embarrassed because as soon as we walked in there, they're like, oh, these are the guys that are gonna inspect this place. And it was like, look, it's brand new. What you guys doing here? So he was very embarrassed when I showed him that water was coming straight through the ceiling. There's like, oh my God, how did that happen? Well, that's why we inspect places. But he was even more embarrassed when we re-inspected about a week and a half later, and it was still the same way. So
we're doing this brand new home inspection here. Nobody's ever lived in this house. I'm opening the panel, and what do I see? A double tap breaker. Double tap are fairly common. People do it all the time, but this is a brand new home. How did that happen? Very most likely after the electrical inspection. The problem with double tap and what that is those breakers, some breakers are designed for 2 wires, but not these ones. So you're not supposed to put 2 wires inside of these breakers, because what's gonna happen, since they're designed just for one, when you put 2 wires and you tighten this up, one will be tighter than the other and the other one will be a little bit looser. So it could arc, it could go, and then fire could start in there. It's just, you know, even though it's fairly common, it's not proper. So should you get a brand new home inspected? Of course you should. Otherwise, you might be buying homes with all kinds of problems.
There's a really good chance that this panel never did get inspected. Like I mentioned earlier, if the inspector didn't come, pass. But I would have to say though, on the other hand, that of all the issues we find on brand new homes, most of them are not electrical related. This was a bit of an unusual find. I was happy to find it. Finally, I found something electrical related on a house. But most of the time, electricians do tend to do proper work. Their work is important. People's safety are in question there. So they normally do pretty decent work. I'm doing this very pricey condo today downtown, $2.5 million. Keep in mind that whoever's building these condos are the exact same people who are building the cheap condos. Everybody that gets a job here, from the painter to the framer, the drywaller, they got the job because they had the lowest bid. Lowest bid means you gotta go faster than everybody else. You gotta use the cheapest material and the cheapest guy. And here's a quick example. This place is fairly new. You have openings in the grouts, moisture. All the corners are not caulked, they're grouted, and it's all cracked right up. Grout is not flexible enough. And every time they take shower, moisture will get behind there. So whether you have a very pricey condo, even if it's brand new, or a mansion, you need to get it inspected. Nobody on this job got the job because they were the prettiest one and they were doing the best quality job. Everybody got the job because they had the lowest bid. Keep in mind, the general contractor, the one that's building this whole high-rise there, also had the cheapest bid. So everybody's fighting to cheap out on everybody in order to make a little bit of money. So as a sub-trades, when you realize that you're the guy who's willing to make the least amount of money to get the job, you often give up on quality, and all you want is that the job passes. And passes, to tell you the truth, is not good quality. It's not even mediocre. This has passed. As you can see, it had passed, and it was just terrible work. So let's go on to the next one. We're still in the shower. We're doing this home inspection here on the townhouse. And lately, we've seen so many situations where the tile work, like floor tiles or tiles in the bathrooms, is just terrible. And here's another example. So if you look at this one here, this is a shower. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it's super wavy, goes up and down. And then the guy at the end, he ended up short, so he just throws some grouts in there. Let's just hope for the best. And then if you look here, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's a big gap right there throughout the whole bottom of this side there, where water is going to get in, not a massive amount, but the little splash water will get in there and just deteriorate this corner in no time. So your tile guys, keep an eye on them. There's no way that someone with pride would have done a job like that. And actually, there's no way that someone with any kind of tiling experience would do something like this. This is obviously someone who's got absolutely no clue what they're doing. Somehow they got the job because they probably had the lowest bid. And how come this has passed quality control? Where's the site super on this job? Why he didn't look at this and be, hey man, you gotta rip this shit up and redo it? No, he looked at it, it's like a little wavy, a little bit of a gap here and there. I guess good enough for me, pass. You know, and that is what is extremely sad on construction. Just stick to the showers. I'm here in this brand new home. Nobody's ever lived in here. And very often, not on brand new homes, but on older homes, we'll find moisture behind these tiles, and the grout will look perfectly fine. And the problem is water getting in from here. The sill here at the top should be sloped so that whenever water gets on it, it slides off. Now look at this one. I just added water on top. Basically the slip here is a little high, so it's preventing this water. Basically, it's loaded with water. So this water will get right into this crack and it's gonna come down this wall and it's gonna deteriorate everything. So when this has to get done, it needs to slope properly, otherwise it only creates problems. I mean, I can't believe it got installed like that. So basically the lip was too high, water was staying in there, and this water, I left it in there for about 20 minutes. When I went back, it was gone. Where did it go? It got sucked in the wall. And these tiles are about this long, so every foot or so, there's a line of grout. This grout is not waterproof. Water will get in there. There is some sealants that you can buy, but it wasn't done. So basically, the tile job looked pretty decent, but since the slope was there, but the lip was too high. You know what? 2-3 years from now, we would go to this place, re-inspect this wall, and I bet you if this shower got used every day or every couple of days, this wall will be completely deteriorated. And you know, and that's why we look at all these things and we make these recommendations. Stay in the bathroom. I'm doing this home inspection here. This is a brand new home. Nobody's ever lived in it. I'm running the shower back here. I was testing the sinks, the tub, and then I walk around and it starts dripping water on my head. What's going on here? So if you take a look right here, this fan is dripping water. Now, I don't exactly know what's going on. I know it's running. I'm assuming that once I get in the attic, I'll find the exhaust vent to be not insulated. It is fairly cold outside. This warm moisture is going in there and it probably condensates inside there and comes back as dripping water. Should brand new homes get inspected? Well, I'll let you decide on that. So here's an example of what I talked to about earlier, that we don't only check one system. We check all system, and we also see the relationship that they have together. So for example, someone tested the fan. Yeah, the fan's working, making noises. I'm happy with this. Someone tried the shower. Yeah, the shower's running. I'm good. Good pass. Okay, let's move on next. When for us, we test the shower and the fan and all the water running at the same time while we're flushing the toilet. And then we want to see what if anything happens. And obviously, something did happen. So here's a couple illustrations. So the first pictures basically shows you if this exhaust goes through the roof or on the side of the house, that duct needs to be insulated and properly insulated, no gaps or anything like this. If you do it from the beginning, you can install a product like the one in the middle. It's a flexible insulated duct. So very easy to install, plug it in, run it, boom, exhaust through the outside. And then at the top right, this is a sheet of insulation. So if you already have some rigid metal duct that is not insulation, you can buy this, cut a slice, put it around, tape it, and do it all the way along. But what's very important is never to use the product at the bottom, this flexible vinyl duct. It's complete garbage. It will condensate like crazy in there, and all the ribs that it has in the inside, it prevents proper flow. Sometimes we go in the attic with these things, they disconnect and they fill right up with water. You move them and all kinds of water falls out of them. They're complete garbage. And by the way, some people use them for dryer exhaust, and they melt. It's just complete. I mean, they should take this product right off the market. I'm here on this brand new home. I'm running the shower to test it, and look. Actually, I gotta stop here. This is one of my favorite find of 2019. I could not believe this one. Let's watch it. This brand new home, I'm running the shower to test it, and look, the water that is coming at the bottom of the shower. It's not even sloped properly. This water is supposed to go in that drain inside there, but no. It's coming all over the place. Look, it's just ridiculous. So here's another good example why brand new homes are even more important to get inspected than something from the 1800s. Because otherwise, look, there's nothing normal about this. So is it important to get a brand new home inspected? 100%. As you can see, another example of us testing systems together. Yes, the glass were nice and solid. The doors was working great. The shower worked fine. The drain is draining properly. But when you try all the jets and you close the door and you check this out, it was just completely crazy. Water came right under the door and it would fill up this entire bathroom. Where the shower is, the bottom part of it's got concrete, it's got a membrane, it's got a drain, it's waterproof. But the rest of the bathroom is not. Once this water comes out of there, it's gonna go through the ground, it's gonna make it downstairs right away. I mean, a perfect fix for this would have been to call the tile guy and the glazing guy to get rid of the shower and re-slope this floor properly. But I mean, nobody wanted to spend another 10, 15 grand on this thing. So they just added the lip by the door. That didn't look that bad. That did prevent the water from going in. But hey, if you didn't get this home inspected, what would happen? You know, of course, you would have probably noticed when you take a shower, but the fact that we go there and we find all these things, now you can get the builders to fix them all at the same time. Otherwise, you're going to find this. Now you call them up, say, hey, the shower, the water is going under the door. Okay, I'll go and fix this. They come and fix. Now you find something else a month later. Hey, this not, okay, I'll go. And then you find something else and then they stop picking up the phone. So basically, you get this all done at the beginning before you move in there so that if they need to do any kind of sanding or anything or dusty kind of work, it doesn't go all over your stuff. Stick to the bathroom. I'm here on this brand new home inspection. I'm in the bathroom and I'm testing the sink. So first thing we do is we fill that sink up with water. We want to make sure that the overflow is not plugged up or leaking. Now when I look down there and see this amount of water down here, I'm thinking, why is it raining under the sink? Well, the overflow is plugged right up and it's leaking on the side of it. So there's about 8 sinks in this house. Every single one of them is like that. So now you're thinking, should I get a brand new home inspected? Well, in reality, it's almost more important to get a brand new home inspected because all this stuff is under guarantee. And if we make up a list for it, hopefully the builders will fix it. So when the plumber got their plumbing inspection on this, do you think that the city inspector ran the water for like an hour to see if there's any leakage? Do you think they plugged it up and made sure that the overflow is working great? Do you think they ran all the sink at the same time to see if the hot water would keep up? Do you think they looked at all the plumbing if anything was leaking? Do you think they ran an infrared camera on all the walls and ceiling to see if something's dripping somewhere that you might not have noticed? Of course not. That's what we do. We go there and we test everything. And that is why we find things like this. But you figure that the guy that installed the sink should be testing it. On this house, there were plenty of sinks and they were all pretty much leaking. I found a little something and I thought, hey, maybe I'll talk to you about it. And it's about these very kind of different style of toilets where really they're floating. They're basically anchored on the wall. Right here, we're in a building that is framed with steel stud. Steel stud is not a very solid kind of material. I could take a bite right out of it if I wanted to. So whenever you're going to anchor anything on a steel stud wall, you have to use heavier gauge studs, and then you put some plywood in between. You make sure it's really well anchored, because look at this toilet here. It will show us. The whole wall wants to come out. You get Uncle Bob coming here, 300-pounder, taking a dump on this toilet, and this thing could fall down, create all kinds of mess. I don't want to clean it up. I definitely don't want to clean it up. So at this point, there's a stud, maybe every 16 inches. They put a little piece of plywood in between. That's what we normally do for sink framing. A sink, because you're actually not sitting on it, it doesn't, it's anchored properly, but you don't really push on it all the time. But in this case of this toilet, this is what should be done. If you do it at the time of construction, you can take one of those studs, throw a 2x4 right inside of them, throw it in the wall. Now it's solid as hell. But if you do it after the fact, you could cut your drywall and sister those 2x4s like you see on the picture on the right on the back of these studs. You could fit a 6-foot piece in there, or the biggest piece you can put, so that it's really going to reinforce this wall so there's no shaking of this toilet. And so we look at all these kind of things. We're doing this brand new home inspection today, and I wanted to talk to you about what happened when the builder ran out of money. So one of the things they do is they'll either use the cheapest guy, cheapest material. But let's say here, this sink. This sink's nice, not even leaking actually. The others are. But here's one of the features. So you're able to extract this and then spray around. But the problem with it is that you can't even bring it back up. Do you want to pay $1 million and be like, Jesus, I gotta get this hose back in there? Like, seriously? Like, what kind of garbage is this? So if you're planning on buying a brand new home, get it inspected. We'll go through everything. We'll give you a full report, and hopefully you can give that to the builder and get everything fixed. Do you think I was the only one that pulled on that retractable since the beginning of this construction? I'm sure not. And everybody went like, oh my God, how do you put that back in there? So I'm thinking, I wasn't the first one to find it, but I was the only one who was willing to put it down to get it fixed. So, if you've done so well and now you have the money, you can go and buy a multi-million-dollar house and a brand new one. I don't think you should be burning your morning trying to get that retractable in there. Come on now. So this is kind of how these retractable works. On the left, you can see they have a weight on the water line. So when you pull on it, that weight goes up. When you let it go, that weight brings it back inside the faucet. But if there's all kinds of garbage in the way, like the plumbing or anything else are stuck in there, basically the weight just doesn't work. So on the right side there, sometimes the weight is not quite enough for the design. So as you can see, they've added a lock there to add a little bit of weight. So, but this retractable that we had on this job there, it was not a weight problem. It was just a design problem. The hose was a little big to get inside the the stainless steel, and it wasn't smooth at all. It was just a piece of garbage. These are the kind of things that you look in a catalog and there's all kinds of price, 50 bucks, 300 bucks, 500 bucks, 30 bucks. And that one looked pretty nice and it was probably one of the cheapest ones. So, hey, let's choose that. Earlier, I mentioned that we don't really find too many electrical issues on brand new homes, but things sometimes happens. I'm here doing this brand new home, and I'm in the kitchen here, and I'm testing everything, and I'm under the sink, and I'm looking at this carburetor here. Really, in reality, you should be disposing of your food properly instead of dumping it down the drain, but nonetheless, they installed a carburetor here. And I'm like, oh, it's not plugged in, that's why nothing's working. And I'm looking in there, and there's no power source, there's no outlet, there's no nothing. So basically, water is going straight through it. It's just a useless piece of equipment that's right here that can't really be used because there's no power. I mean, this is really poor thinking. So what do you think? Should brand new homes be inspected? Well, I'll have to let you decide on that. So when the carburetor guy went in there and installed his carburetor, and he's like, where's the power? Then you just get, well, threw the cord back in there and just forget about it. Well, I'm sure he mentioned it to the builder. There's no way we're the second party to find out that there's no power for this carburetor. So that makes me think, was the builder taking a chance that nobody noticed and nobody says anything? Or did they actually know? Or did, you know, how come this was not fixed? I mean, it's just unbelievable. I'm doing this home inspection. I'm looking at this beautiful HRV system, heat recovery ventilator. Awesome system to save on energy. It captures the heat before it pushes outside and it transfers it to the cold air coming in. Great system as long as it's working. We've been going all the way around this house 3-4 times to try to find where's the switch for this thing. How do we turn this on? So I open it up, and as soon as I open it up, there was a little box like this in there, and I'm like, what is it? I open it up, and here is the switch. It never got installed. So this is from 2017. This unit has never worked once in its life. And so it just shows you the importance of getting your home inspected. You know, it looks like a beautiful unit. Obviously, the filter is always clean on this thing because it's not working. Are you starting to realize how important brand new homes are to be inspected? It's just completely crazy. I mean, HRVs are awesome system. They basically, it's a ventilation system that brings some fresh air inside the house, but in order to bring some fresh air, you have to exhaust some of it. And on its way out, it captures the heat and it transfers it to the cold water that it's on its way in. It's an awesome system. And if you look at that picture, in the middle, this is the filter system for this unit. And that little triangle at the top with some text in it, most of the time that's information on how to clean that filter. Most of these filters, you can vacuum them, I think every couple months, and they want you to replace them once a year. But all the instructions right there. It's like any filters out there. It's like the filters on the furnace. We get there, hasn't been replaced in, you know, in 5 years sometimes, just brutal. So, you know, when you have a home, all these filters, you need to keep up with them. Otherwise, it's just gonna bring, you know, it's just gonna make your house, the indoor air quality will just be terrible. I'm doing this brand new home here. This is all brand new. Nobody's ever lived in here. I'm coming down the stairs, and as usual, I'm gonna test the railing. I wanna know if they're graspable, if they're nice and stiff, and there's no movement. But in this case here, when I pull on this one, the spindles, they come loose. See, they come right out. And then there's another one here. It's just, basically the whole thing is loose. If you pull on it, spindles comes right out, falls downstairs. So the guy took probably a couple days, set this all up together, pulled on it, noticed the problem, and like, well, good enough. And really, it's not good enough. So this is gonna go on the report. The builder will have to call this guy back in here and fix this up, set it up properly the way it should have been done in the first place. You know, the guy that got the job obviously was the cheapest guy. It is a very nice railing, fully customized, smooth, beautiful, and everything. But then at the end, he pulled on it. He realized, oh, that's a little soft, but you know what? They only paid us that much to get this done. This is what you get. So it, you know, choosing the cheapest guy creates this whole attitude of, you know, people that really don't care and have no pride in their work. I'm in this room here of this brand new home. I'm looking up and I see this real ugly box. First of all, it's not even square. It's not even plumb. It could not look any uglier than that. Most people would look at this and think, oh, there's probably, you know, it's probably part of the design. There's something important in there. When in reality, this is poor planning. This is poor craftsmanship. This is real bad work. So basically, very often what happens is the framing layout and the plumbing layout doesn't quite work together, and something's sticking off the wall, and they're like, well, let's build a box around it, and you know, it'll look fantastic. But really, you look at this thing, it's just an eyesore. I can't stand it. It's not really a deficiency. I just like to put in the report, but it's just ugly. That's all it is. So if you're wondering about those, most of the time, it's just poor planning. I think most people, tell you the truth, don't really notice them. I notice them like crazy because for like 12 years as a framer, I was asked all the time, can you frame around this little elbow that's sticking out there, when this really wasn't part of our bid, but we do it because they make mistakes and we're like, yeah, don't worry, we'll do it. But these little tiny boxes, 3-corner beads on this thing, they look very small, but it's quite a bit of work to make this look pretty. And as you can see in this one, didn't want to spend too much time. The thing is so out of level and everything. Is just terrible. And now on to our last video. This brand new home here. Nobody's ever lived in this beauty, and I wanted to show you an example of poor craftsmanship. So I'm here at this windows. I'm opening the window, closing it, testing the lock. Everything works fine. But when I close it, I can see that there's a gap here, and I can feel the wind coming straight through it. I did put a line laser on it, so I could show you how out of level this side is. So it's basically touching here, and we almost have 3/16 to 1/4 inch right there. So there's a massive warp on this side of that window. The guy put that window together, closed it, look at this, and like, good enough for me, when really, that's just terrible. This place is brand new. The builder will call these windows guys back. They're gonna fix this as it should be and get it done properly. There's absolutely no way the window guys did not notice that when they installed the window. It's ridiculous. They should have called the site supervisor, say, look, your wall here is out of square. We need to have that, otherwise our windows will not close properly. Trades have to realize that it's much, much, much cheaper to get it done properly at the beginning, even though you might have to do some modification. Then coming back later when the house is painted, people are moving in there and having to basically rip that window out and redo it all. It's completely crazy. So in conclusion, I truly believe that builders, they have the best of intention. They want to grow their business by word of mouth, and word of mouth only works if you give good quality product. The reason number 3 why I got out of construction, it's because the attitude of those you hire reflects on you. It did not matter how well I wanted to do. If my guys do bad quality work, it looks like I do bad quality work. So often builders gets put under the bus for improperly built homes or deficiencies here and there. But if I had someone to blame for all of this, is the site supervisor. The site supervisor's job is to make sure that everything, the flow is working properly, but they have to check everybody's work. Now, there are some absolutely fantastic site supervisors out there. I've worked for many of them, but I've also worked for many of them that are just terrible. They're either guys who, the problem is they're the guys who puts the most amount of hours on these jobs. They're the first one in and the last one out. They make the least amount of money. Most of the trade makes more money than they do. And these guys, you know, they give them too much work. Often they give them too much work. When the project is almost done, then they move them on to a brand new one. So they have to take care of this new one that's super busy, and they have to take care of this one that is almost done. That is why at the end, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't get completed because, hey, the site supervisor is not there. Why would I finish the flashing on the roof? right? And this is often what happened. So even though in this presentation, I do talk a lot about builders and city inspectors, I mean, there's some great people out there, but there's just some that are not as good, like in every industry. There's some good accountants and bad accountants. There's some good inspectors and bad inspectors. So what's very important is to make sure that these brand new houses do get a full high quality inspection. So if you have any questions about anything about this presentation, please give us a call, text us, send us an email. If you ever get a report from other inspectors and you have questions, or if you go in a house and you find something that you're not sure about, take a picture, text it to us, 778-683-7147, or send us an email at fastreply@inspect.ca, and we'll be happy to get back to you with some solutions. Until then, thank you so much for watching and have an awesome day.